We're going to talk about credit. Today's topic, the benefits of having a good credit score. So we talked about yesterday about why you actually would need a credit score. But today we're going to talk about the benefits of actually having a good credit score as opposed to a bad credit score. You would think that it'd be obvious, but having a good credit score is going to mean so much to you in life. It's going to mean more than you can even really imagine. Over the course of the last several years, I've just been learning about how important credit can be. So if you're here today joining us, I appreciate it. And I just want to share with you on the importance of having a good credit score. And the funny thing is, today I actually had a phone call from a potential client, was messaging me. Took some time, got to speak with her today, and I was just asking, what was your reason for having, or why were you wanting to call me? What's your reason for, exploring your credit? And basically, is she knew that she needed a good credit score, and the reason is because she wanted to get a credit card, a good credit card, a traveling credit card. Now, this woman was constantly traveling across the USA. And her work sends her to different places, and sometimes what happens is she seems to be that she would have to write down an expense report and turn it into the company, and then they would give her they would repay her for her expenses on her traveling expenses, but she has to use her own debit card because she doesn't have a credit card. And what's happening in her situation is that the more and more times that she travels, she's constantly using her debit card, which pulls right out of her checking account. She wants a good credit card that, for one, she can get bonus points for all the traveling that she does, and for two, insurance, because a lot of these credit cards provide some type of travel insurance, and also maybe even cash back if you have a good credit card. And so she wanted to get a good credit card. She knew her credit score was decent, but it wasn't good. She wanted a good credit card for traveling. So we talked about that. And that just brought me to the subject of, why do you want a good credit score? I think most of us are pretty much going to have a credit score. Not everybody has a credit score, but if you do any type of activity in the financial institution, such as borrowing money, lending money, or a mortgage or whatnot, you're going to have a credit score. And the ideal credit score is a higher credit number rather than a lower number, and we're going to talk about that. So this lady I was speaking to, she wanted help with her credit, so we're going to work with her, and hopefully we'll get her on a good path and get her going so that she can have a really good credit score, because she didn't want to apply for a credit card yet until she was confident that her credit was in good standing. So we're going to work on that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the importance of having a good credit score is super important, because it's going to determine so many factors in your life about different avenues that you're going to come into. For example, buying a car. This is just a really good example. So if you're in the market of buying a car, whether it's a new car or a used car, it really doesn't matter. Your credit score is going to be involved. For example, let's just take an average used car, a decent used car, and we'll go for about maybe $25,000 on the average used car, because nowadays these new cars, if you've been looking around, they're very expensive. Basically, most cars are beginning around $40,000 all the way to $60,000 for a decent, good car. So let's just take an average used car, a good used car, 2 or 3 years old, maybe about $25,000, right? Okay. So if you go into a car dealership, you're going to probably either A, come with full cash. So if you have the ability to buy a $25,000 automobile in full cash, then that's kudos to you. That's great. And you have no interest and you have a paid and free automobile. But if you're like most of us, we don't all carry around that type of money, even in our bank account. So most people need to borrow money. So you would need to apply for a loan so that you can acquire this dream car or this family vehicle that you really need, whether it's a pickup truck, a minivan, or some type of automobile. You need a car. We all have cars. So let's say you have $5,000 saved up. So you go to the automobile dealership and you find the car that you like, and you're going to pay, maybe you're going to put $5,000 down. Well, you need to borrow the difference, which is going to be $20,000. So what the dealership is going to do is they're going to run a credit report on you, the client, the customer. And what's going to happen is your whole credit report's going to show up. You're not going to know this because they don't share that with you, but they're going to look at it and they're going to notice the numbers that are on your report. One of the numbers amongst many is your credit score. And so your credit score is going to determine your credit worthiness on how much of a value are you to pay back the money that a bank is going to potentially lend you. So with that said, if you are going to apply for a loan, you're going to get probably a couple of banks may or may not even be willing to give you a loan depending on your credit score. Now, if you have a low credit score, you most likely are going to be denied a loan, even with your $5,000. So if you have a higher credit score, you can get a loan. Most likely you probably will get a loan. But now what's going to determine this loan is how good of a rate are you going to receive. A low credit score, even if you get approval of the loan, you might have a high interest rate. And right now I've been seeing car interest rates anywhere from 13 to 15%, maybe even more on an interest rate on an automobile with a low credit score. Now the difference is if you have a high credit score, let's say in the 700s or more, well, you can apply, you can possibly get a loan that's going to be in the lows, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6%. And that's going to be a huge difference in the payment of your monthly payment of this loan that you're going to have. So your credit score is going to be a huge determining factor on the interest rate on the automobile that you're going to purchase, and then if you're even going to be able to get the loan. So there's an aspect that you might want to consider before you go and buy an automobile is what is your credit report? What is your credit score? How good is it? You might want to know that before you go into the car dealership, because here's what's going to happen. If you're not aware of your credit report or your credit score, and you go into this dealership and they're going to pull a hard inquiry, most likely because you're trying to get a loan on your credit. Well, a hard inquiry on your credit report is going to put a ding on your credit score and your credit report, because it's going to notify the bureaus and all the agencies that you have been trying to get a loan. So it's a negative on your credit score, which then brings down your credit score. So therefore, you should know what your credit score is before you go into the automobile dealership, so that if you do get a ding, if you get a hard inquiry, it's not really going to hurt because your credit score is so high. So there's an example of why you would want a good credit score. Another reason why you would want a good credit score is your insurance. A lot of people don't really realize this, but if you're trying to get insurance, whether it's homeowners insurance or automobile insurance, they are also going to do a credit pull, and they're going to see your credit report and your credit score. And low credit scores may affect your insurance, whereas a good high credit score, you may qualify for a good insurance rate. And right now, I'm sure if you're like me, you would like to save all the money that you can on almost every aspect of your life. So if you need to get an automobile and then you need to get insurance for that automobile, if you can save money on your car insurance, well, you can if you have a higher credit score rather than a low credit score. So there's just a couple of benefits you might want to consider in knowing why a credit score is so important. And not only that, another thing is that your credit checks. So what's going to happen is, even if I'm not even planning on purchasing an automobile, or you're not planning on purchasing a home right now at the moment to get a mortgage, what's happening nowadays is that a lot of apartment complexes are doing not only background checks, but they're also performing credit checks on potential clients to apartment complexes. And I've just been realizing this more and more lately. So a credit score is also going to be a determining factor whether you're going to be accepted in as a client for an apartment or whether you're not. Now, what determines your credit score? There's actually quite a few factors that determine your credit score. And there's a whole laundry list of what actually determines what a good credit score is. A lot of it's going to be your payment history in the past. how well you handle your finances. It's also going to be your utilization rate of your credit to loan difference. That's what your utilization is. That's going to be a good determining factor. And then also credit history. That's going to be a determining factor of what will give you a good credit score. So let's talk about just like what is a good credit score. So in reality, most people have credit scores. Some people don't, but most Americans are going to have a credit score. And they range all the way from 300, which is super low, all the way to 800, which is going to be excellent. So if you're going to be sitting in a range somewhere from 300 all the way to 800. So if you have a credit score from 800 and above, then you have what is considered an excellent credit score, which is great. You can almost apply for any loan that you want, and you're most likely going to be approved with an 800 plus credit score. I think it goes up to about 850. Now, the next level down below that is going to be in the 700s. Now, in anything in the 700 to 800, that is going to be considered a good credit score. So if your credit score lands between 700 and 799, then that's really good. You're actually above average, above the average American. So you're in a good position if your credit score is between 700 and 799. And again, with that type of a credit report or credit score, you're going to probably most likely be approved for most loans, and also not just approved, but you most likely will be, you'll have a good interest rate, which is what you want. You want to get approved and you want to have a good interest rate. Now the next level under that is going to be in the 600, from 650 to about 699. That is going to be your average, but it's usually considered poor. If you're below 700, that's what is considered a poor credit score. And the national average for a credit score right now in America, the national average is 680. So that's a good factor. If you're below 680, just know you're actually below average. But if you have a 680 or above, then you are above average. And let's think about that. There's, I don't know, 400 million people in America. If you have an above average score, 680 or better, then you're doing really well. 700 is good, but if you're above 600, then just know you're above average, because the national average is 680. So now if you're below that, especially if you're dipping into 650, now you are being considered to most lenders as a poor credit score. That's not really good. And in some people, if you're even below 650, 650 and below, then you're what is considered you have a poor credit score. So just know those factors. Know that you have, anywhere between 300 to 800 is a credit score. National average is 680, and if you can get yourself above 680, then you're doing really good. If you're below 680, maybe in the 500s, then we need to work on that. That's something we can do. You can notify me. You can call me. I can help you out, help a lot of people out on their credit scores. So that's something that you just want to consider. Just know where you're at. Don't be ignorant of your credit score. You want to be aware of your credit score, because it's going to help determine so much in your life. Whether you want to get, like we talked about, an automobile, a loan for any type of loan, a mortgage for you or your family, or even starting a business. Right now, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are just striving to have their own business, and a lot of people really need credit to get their business going. So they need the ability to borrow money from a source that is willing to give money, such as a credit card company, or maybe a credit union, or even a bank of some sort. So when you go in to apply for these loans, you want to make sure that you're in good standing, so that you get approved and not disqualified, and then you have to start all over, and then you're going to get a hit on your score, and it's going to be a negative hit, and now you got negative items on your credit score. So those are just some of the factors that you should know about as far as why having a good credit score is so important. And I think what's happening now is I've been getting a lot of messages from a lot of people finally realizing that they do have negative items on their credit report, which is bringing down their credit score. And I had a couple calls today. As a matter of fact, not, they're just, these clients just not really knowing what's on their report. But no need to worry. We can look that up. We can find out what's on your report. We can find out what's on their credit, and we can take a look at it and get a good idea of what type of negative items on there, if there's any collections, if there's any charge-offs, if there's any bankruptcies, because it is possible to clean up your credit report. It is possible to clean it up, get it into a good standing so that you can be confident to go to a loan agency, whether it be a bank, a credit card company, or even a mortgage company, that you can get approved for a loan. So if you're in that area and you need help with your credit report, your credit score, you need it boosted, you need help get it boosted, there's many ways that you can work on that. There's many ways to bring up your credit score. Many ways you can do that is just be on time with your payments. If you're just on time with your monthly payments, don't be late. That's going to keep a good, healthy credit history going. Knowing that you're on time and you showed the credit agencies, whether it's a credit card or a bank, if they can see that you're just constantly making on-time payments, then you're going to have a healthy credit score in time. And if you're not late, then that's great. You don't want to be late ever on a credit card payment. 30 days or more, you do not want to be late. And what's considered late on a credit card is 30 days. If you're a day late or 2 days late, they have a grace period. Just like a mortgage company, if you have your mortgage is due on the 1st, they have a grace period. It's not actually considered late until 30 days. And please make sure you do not go 30 days, because it's a huge hit on your credit report, and it's going to affect your credit score detrimentally. So, but if that's your case and you do have those, we could take a look at that. We could take a look at your report, take a look at your score, and get you back on track, because everything is fixable. Everything is repairable. Even your car, right? If you have work done on your car and you have a check engine light, something's wrong with your car, but it can be fixed. If you take it to the right person, you take it to the right mechanic, they can fix pretty much anything that's wrong with your car. Same with your credit. Your credit can be fixed. You can go to our website, summitbeacon.com, and you can get my free ebook, and you can take a look at our services that we provide to help you with your credits. So thanks for watching, and God bless. And God bless.